Hey, welcome to another top 10 countdown video. I'm excited about this one. A few people were saying that they wanted this, and I was more than happy to do it. I'm going to say my top 10 favorite Hero Factory sets, in my opinion, and we'll have some honorable mentions thrown in there as well. So without further ado, let's break out of the Hero Factory villain storage and dive on into the world of Hero Factory. So, my 10th favorite Hero Factory set is Evo 2.0. So one of the reasons I really like this is, of course, when the first wave of Hero Factory sets came out, it was purely, it was a system that was very similar to Bionicle, and there was obviously new pieces and new molds and things, but it still had a slight Bionicle tinge to it. And I'll kind of come back to that as we continue this video, but what I love so much about the second wave of Hero Factory sets, the Hero Factory 2.0, it was the birth of CCBS. And I remember thinking it was super cool at the time, and, we also got these new characters of Nex and Evo, and I thought Evo was super cool. He had this great yellow color scheme, you've seen a few yellow sets in the past, but seeing Evo in yellow I thought was really nice, especially a very, very, very yellow mark. Not so much like Hookie or something with little bits of yellow, very, very yellow, and it was good. It was a nice color scheme, and the purple with that complemented nicely. It looks really nice. But yeah, this was the birth of CCBS, and I felt that really kind of being introduced to this and playing around with these awesome CCBS frames and designs and these shells and all these funky new pieces. It was exciting and it was cool. And I think my favorite of the lot was just Evo. Aesthetically, he looked the coolest. He had the best looking, because they all had like the head, the helmet, and then that weird sort of attachment thing that went in the middle. Evo's got this funky gunmetal one with these kind of grates at the front, and I always thought that one looked the coolest personally. Yeah, I just liked it a lot. So yeah, all up I thought it was super cool, but definitely one of the other things I quite liked about it is I remember when this came out, and that was the mock pages days of the Bionicle community, as I called it, where I was posting very regular mock pages. Mock pages was still an alive and thriving Bionicle community. It was great fun. And I remember everyone being very excited about the fact that CCBS was coming out. And I remember a lot of people buying and playing with Evo. And then one Mitch Henry, he emerged in the community, and his self-mock was very heavily inspired by Evo. And I actually remember specifically being like, Mitch, I'm going to make your self-mock. It's going to be super cool. And he's like, oh, no way, man. Thanks. And I was like, it's cool, dude. I remember going to the shops and getting a couple of them and being like, one day, Evo, one day. And then eventually getting it, going home. And I think I'd actually built the body for him. I just wanted the head. And then I ended up buying the set, building it, really enjoying it, taking the head off, finishing my Mitch Henry self-mock there, and taking pictures and posting it and stuff. And that was definitely a big part of the mock pages community, was building people's self-mocks at the time. It's not something you see as much these days, which is always interesting. But I remember the excitement in that. It was super cool. And I didn't really say that at the start of the episode. This top 10, I very much want to focus on the memories behind the toys too, because, that's half the fun of buying a Lego set, isn't it? So that is my number 10 favorite Hero Factory set. Let's jump into number 9. This is from the next wave of Hero Factory 3.0. Which one's it going to be? It's Stringer. Stringer is my number 9, my 9th favorite Hero Factory mock. Not mock, set. That is such a confusing term. I do that all the time. I'm like, this mock looks great. That's a set, Ben. Ah, jeez. So, anyway, great set. Stringer 3.0. So I loved a lot of the aesthetical change. Aesthetical? Is that a word? It is now. I loved a lot of the aesthetic changes that these characters went through for 3.0, how they all kind of had more kind of animalistic looking weapons with like claws and things and a few more spikes, and all of them had these different animal masks. Or I guess kind of helmets. I don't know. Do you call Hero Factory head thingamajigs? Do you call them masks or helmets? I don't know. I always call them masks because that's what they call them Bionicle, but they're not strictly speaking masks, are they? I don't know. I don't know what the official term was for that. But besides the point, I always loved seeing these takes on the masks and them being a little bit more animalistic. And I always thought that Stringers looked the coolest. This interesting, like kind of bear-looking mask with these awesome teeth. It just looks really cool. And then the color scheme was so visually striking. This Keat orange up against the black here just looks really nice. I mean, I saw him as a bear, but sort of slight tiger elements or like panther elements as well to him. He just looks super cool. And so I thought a lot of the sets in that wave did a really good job at playing around with changing the characters to look a little bit more animalistic, kind of almost like Power Ranger-like or something, kind of having a little bit of a flair of some kind. But I don't know, I think Stringers just looked the coolest, and the color scheme as well was great. And I mean, especially to his weapon. I mean, it's a little bit similar to Rocker and a few other guys, but just looks cool too. And yeah, I remember buying this and kind of being taken by surprise by it. I thought it was good, but I wasn't wasn't sold from the moment that I saw the set. And I remember having it and just being like, wow, this is actually really good. Kind of playing around even more with CCBS as a system, and just kind of having him on my desk for a while, as Shadow Gear would call it. Had a bit of a desk toy that, he just sat on my desk, didn't do much, but every so often I'd pick him up and play with him, just to kind of mess him around, put him in some cool poses, and it was fun, and I just remember really enjoying him. So aesthetically I like him, but I also like him for that memory too, just him just being on the desk, being a fun toy. On to number 8 now, my 8th favourite Hero Factory set. This is Speeder Demon. So I remember when some of the leaks of these sets were coming out, and Speeder Demon was one of them, and you could tell this guy had a purple bike. I remember being like, because that was actually something as well with the Bionicle community at the time. It's kind of died down more because purple's a little bit more of a common color these days. But in the past, for whatever reason, there was this huge outcry about purple. Just people loved the color. Like I remember people would post mocks that had purple in them, and the comment section would just be filled with like super long comments of just like purple. Like going so far that it like broke the comment box and it would like go off screen and actually like mess up the format of the page and stuff. And so this was coming out and people were like, oh my god, it's purple, which is great. And then I thought the coolest thing too, like I always loved the Skrull armor pieces. I thought they were a beautiful piece. And then we were getting one in purple and I was like, wow, that's the best thing ever. I really, really liked that. And I remember being super excited about this set pretty much just for that piece. I remember doing a few Brooklyn orders, getting a few more of those purple Skrull armor pieces too, because I was like, this is the coolest piece and the coolest color ever. This is amazing. Ironically, not a lot of purple pieces in this mock, actually. Really, if I remember correctly, I think it's just the wheels, the Skrull armor, that funky jet piece at the front of the bike, and then I think there might have been a couple other things as well, like these lift arms and maybe a couple other pieces I'm forgetting, but yeah, not a lot of purple, even though that was, I remember, a big reason why people were excited, and a reason that I was excited. But regardless, it was actually still a really great motorbike design. And I thought what was really cool about that too is how effectively the humanoid figure that went with him, which I guess is called Speeder Demon, and that bike is just a bike. But yeah, Speeder Demon was such a cool character because he had the 4 arms and stuff. And I remember kind of being able to play with it and going like, cool, like he's got 2 hands on the wheel, but he's also got 2 hands to swing his swords around. So you can sort of speed on past somebody and cut them up and stuff like that. Like I thought that was a really effective design, that this motorcycle character can attack and drive at the same time. I just thought that was really clever. I just remember at the time, of course, a lot of Ninjago sets rather were coming out, and seeing these large kind of blade pieces in gold on this set, I was excited by that because I never really bought much Ninjago at the time, and so seeing them in a Bionicle set, I was like, wow, these are actually really nice pieces. I should buy some Ninjago. So it was really welcoming to see some of those newer mold pieces from sets that I hadn't got come into this. So that was really cool. So there's actually quite a lot of nice pieces on this, and yeah, the purple and the lime combination there is beautiful, and that mask in lime, the Black Phantom mask but in lime, mwah, very good, very nice mask. Never ended up using it in a mock, but I remember it being in those piles of pieces where you're like, you're going to be a mock one day. Just you wait. And they haven't yet, but soon. So yeah, a lot to love about this one. And I always liked those vehicle sets, whether it's Bionicle or Hero Factory. I always thought they looked super, super cool. And motorcycles, which, you didn't really get any with Bionicle, unless I'm totally forgetting and people are like, actually, Ben. But motorcycles just work really well with Bionicles, so super cool to see. But what is my 7th favorite Hero Factory set? We're done with Speeder Demon. He's super rad, lots to love about him, both aesthetically and pieces-wise. But what's next? Well, number 7 is Explode. That was something that I always thought was kind of cool, actually, was the very first wave of Hero Factory. I kind of touched upon this at the start of the episode. While a lot of the sets were vastly different to Bionicle, they were also quite similar. Yes, we were getting new masks and some new pieces and some recolors and cool things like that, but there was still this very slight Bionicle aesthetic. And then when CCBS was introduced, then it majorly changed. And you're like, wow, Hero Factory is vastly different from Bionicle. And I kind of liked that early on because, I'll be honest, I was one of those people who was like, Hero Factory sucks, it killed Bionicle, yeah, I'm mad. But eventually being like, well, these sets are kind of cool, I guess I'll buy them. And then as I was buying them, it was this case of like, hey, they do have a pretty awesome Bionicle aesthetic. You could just somehow imagine them in the Bionicle universe, and that's what I did when I was playing with them when they came out. But even still, looking back on them, I'm like, they were nicely designed toys, pretty much all of them. Toxic Reaper, Thunder, Von Nebula, really good sets, and sets that I was considering putting in, but there was something about Explode just playing with him, just the way his mask looked, his really awesome kind of spiky pieces and stuff like that. He just had a lot of personality to him, and I'll admit, this one was a tough one, this spot here, just because, like I was saying, I was very seriously considering picking literally any of the other villains from this wave, because all of them were really top-notch, really, really good. So I guess they are kind of honorable mentions here. I haven't put them in the honorable mentions section, but I'll say it now, a lot of those villains were top-notch. But the reason I picked Explode here was because of that. He was a nice kind of transition, a kind of... It was almost like, Lego was patting you on the back and going like, hey, I know we killed that thing you love, and I'm sorry, but here's something that's a little bit closer. And they kind of ease you in, and then they go, all right, now we're going to do a deep dive. Here's Hero Factory 2.0. Here's this thing, CCBS. How do you like that? And we're like, well, all right, okay, no, I'll buy it. That's fine, all right. So I like that. I like to kind of, I guess, never really realize it at the time, but it does seem like that kind of consideration of a way to kind of ease us in. And I appreciate that, Lego. But I also appreciate the designs of this mock. I think this mask, more than most of the others, had a lot of personality to it. You can kind of see the character this guy is, and he looks very villain-like and just looks pretty cool. I don't quite know how to describe it, but I always just liked the personality that this mock exuded. And thought he looked like a Makuta for that, I'm gonna buy these Hero Factory sets, but not because they're Hero Factory, because they look like Bionicle. He fit that. And of course, in hindsight now, I'm like, he was an awesome Hero Factory villain, like nothing to do with Bionicle. Interesting how the times have changed, isn't it? I like that. It's a nice retrospective look back at Hero Factory there. And yeah, I remember also taking apart Explode eventually, and pretty much all of his pieces I ended up putting in mocks. And especially those spike pieces, both those in red and the black ones with Von Nebula too, were such awesome pieces. And I remember using them in some cool Makuta mocks as well. It was a fun time. So that's number 7. Let's jump into number 6. And this is a very, very, very cool Hero Factory villain, which I'm sure this is on a few other people's top 10 lists here. And which set is that, you might ask? Well, it is 6222. 2. One more 2. 6222. Which set is that? Who knows? What's the set number? It's Core Hunter. So I remember leaks coming out of this, and being quite blown away by not only the look, but also the name. The name Core Hunter. I remember, poring over some new Hero Factory information's come out. What is it? And reading Core Hunter and going, whoa, that guy sounds awesome. Not even looking at him yet. Just the name. And why does that sound so awesome? Because as Hero Factory is introduced, there's all the lore about the hero cores and stuff like that. The idea that there's this villain who's broken out of the Hero Factory prisons, and he is probably in prison because he has ripped out the cores of other heroes, so much so that that has become his name. He is known as the Core Hunter. That's just so cool. Just 2 words, just his name, no other backstory that you can, that we knew just yet about the character. And that alone sounds like the coolest, like, horrific villain character. Thing of nightmares. Like, that's really awesome. And for a kid's toy, like, what? I thought that alone was super cool. And then, getting proper pictures of him, and it's like, whoa, he's got this super awesome, like, SWAT team mask thing, which probably has, like, night vision, and he's just super cool looking. Great color scheme too, the red mixed in with the black there, just perfectly constructed villain character, both through name, aesthetic, and look. He's really cool. Even just ignoring the parts which he had. Like, he had a pretty good part selection too. Ignoring that, he's awesome. And I'll get into this a little bit more, but this was definitely the wave where you're like, Hero Factory is good, man. Like, I know everyone's still a little bit bitter about Bionicle dying, but Hero Factory is a good theme. Yeah. Just an awesome concept for Core Hunter here, and that's definitely the reason that I put him on here. I remember getting the set and really enjoying it and stuff, but I think a lot of the hype for this guy came during those leaks and during the early announcements of this set, and before you bought him, which is cool. That was certainly something that I loved a lot about Hero Factory. Heard some of the stories about it so far of just how exciting it was knowing these sets are coming and people speculating about it, people talking about it, and all that. And I definitely missed that. We haven't got any CCBS in a little bit now, and it's had time, but I definitely do miss that. The speculation and the hype about new stuff to come. So that's number 6. Let's go to number 5. We're at the halfway point now. Which set is this? Well, this is from the original wave of Hero Factory as well. It's Furno, but not the Furno you were expecting. It's Furno on his Furno bike, which is the most unoriginal name, by the way. It's just Furno bike. It's like, Furno, what are you going to call your bike? I'm going to call it Furno bike. Are you sure about that, Ferno? There's some better names. You call it like Dave, or actually that's a pretty bad name for a bike. You could call it Fire Bike, or actually naming bikes is hard in this hypothetical story that I'm making up here. So, you know, I give you credit, Ferno Bike. Still, I thought this bike was incredible. And you might be like, you already had another bike in this episode, Ben. And I did. I thought about it. I'm like, what makes this bike better than the last one? I mean, I definitely would agree that this bike had a less cool character riding it. I think Speeder Demon was cooler than the design for the Ferno 1.0 here. But I don't know. The color scheme's nice. Just this being kind of the first Bionicle bike that you got as well. And this honestly being one of the coolest sets of the first wave. Being like, wow, that's a really nice bike. And just how compact it looked. You know, all of the different details in it and the armor around it. Looked like a really solid bike. There weren't really any gaps in it. It's just a well-designed bike. And the Zamasphere launchers on the sides there, really, really nice. It was fun to play with. The other thing I like too is getting that orange Borok shield kind of headpiece there at the front. So now you can make an orange Borok if you want. And you know, like I was saying, there was a little bit of apprehension with the original Hero Factory wave. But after getting most of the original wave of heroes, they were growing on me. I liked them. I was enjoying this new storyline and these new characters. And so getting him again, but on this bike here, it made Ferno cooler. I think this set definitely helped me really like Ferno as a character a lot more. So I like that. I remember actually too, you know, getting this set and revamping my Ferno, making him a bit bigger and having a bit more posability. And he still fit on the bike, and I love that. And I remember having so much fun playing with the two of them together. A lot of good times in that, actually. And yeah, that's something else that I like too, is getting the sets. And I did that with a lot of Hero Factory too, getting the sets, but then revamping them, seeing what how you can change it up a little bit more. And I remember specifically with the first wave there, playing around a lot with them, and really enjoying doing so as well. So that was definitely a good time too, you know. This is something that I didn't really cover as much in the last top 10 video I posted, which was the actual playing that you did with them, and the revamping of it as well. That was cool. This was one of those sets that I did a lot of that with, so I really enjoyed that. So yeah, really awesome vehicle, and a really great, nicely designed vehicle at that as well, actually. But just a nice introduction to Ferno as a character. Going to jump into number 4 now. Which is number 4? Well, number 4 is Jawbeast versus Stormer. So I remember when they announced all the Invasion from Below stuff, and I want to say I remember reading again another announcement leak online, and it being like, before pictures came out, it's like, these Hero Factory sets are going to be like mechs, and you're going to put little minifigures in them and stuff. And I remember being like, I see through your lies. That's not going to happen. Like, I wouldn't do that with Bionicle. Puh, who are you? And then seeing set pictures and being like, oh, okay, I'm wrong. My bad. And initially being a little apprehensive about it, but then as it was coming out and as I was buying them, being like, this is really cool. This is a great idea. And I remember getting this set as my first set of the Invasion from Below sets. And again, buying it because it had purple in it. Only like 4 or 5 purple pieces, but still was very excited about that. But also enjoying a lot of the trans blue on this guy too, and pretty much every piece in this was a good piece. I would have used it in a mock at the time. Really, really nice. And this being the first set of the wave that I got was really good. It was a very nice introduction to it, and that's kind of why this is on my list and not any of the bigger, larger, cooler sets, was because this one to me kind of just sums up the whole theme. This was a more sort of simple and nice one, but kind of just as a whole, that theme was, or that wave rather, of Hero Factory was so unique and so well done. And I don't know, I don't necessarily know if it gets as good a rap as it deserves these days. I think it was really, really cool. So I don't know, I like the simplicity of this set and how it has a lot of those new pieces in it. You get one of the little mini characters, the minifigure versions of all your heroes there. There's just a nice simplicity to this that kind of sums up what the rest of the theme was. And to some degree, I did feel that with some, not all of them, some of the Invasion from Below sets there, was that some of them were more or less very similar to each other. You know, it's a kaiju-looking guy in a mech. You know, most of them were kind of roughly that design, and a lot of the mechs structurally were roughly kind of similar. I say this now, and as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no, they weren't. But I don't know, there was just some... This set had a nice charm to it, so I wanted to pick this one. That being said, I did like some of the others. That I think there was a 2-headed kaiju guy, and one of the heads split off, so it was kind of 2 characters in one. That was a really fun one to play with. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, really, really enjoyed Invasion from Below, and I think this one was one of the ones that really stood out for me. But now on to number 3. It's my 3rd favorite Hero Factory set of all time. Well, it's Black Phantom. So again, more community leaks and things. Lego would be appalled at the amount of leaks that came through. When pictures of these did come out, I actually was doing a podcast with Brendan at the time, Mr. Shadowgear6335, and I remember as we were recording, we're like, is there any news that we can talk about in this podcast? I was like, I don't know. And then we're like, well, let's check. Let's go online. And as that was happening, we were like, oh, live, hot news. There's this new Wave of Hero Factory and this guy called Black Phantom. I remember the two of us were kind of like, it's all right. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of similar to some of the others that we've got, but yeah, sure. And it was that. I was kind of like, the more I looked at it, the more I was like, no, this guy's cool. Yeah, I don't like him. The more I looked at him, the more I was like, I'm just not a fan. And kind of as it was coming out, and the early leaks were very blurry, bad pictures. And some of them even had like 3D printed pieces on them from the production phases. So you could tell it was unfinished and still needed some work and wasn't really photographed that well yet. It was an early leak, shouldn't have come out that picture. And as HD pictures came out, more was released, I was like, yeah, it's a little better, I guess. I still don't like it. It's like I wanted to like it, but I just didn't. But I couldn't shake the fact that I'm like, this guy has a spider gun arm thing. That's pretty cool. I was like, no, this is lame. Hero Factory's still lame. They killed Bionicle. And still being a little apprehensive about it, Even after all these waves, I was still like, no, it killed Bionicle. I don't like it, But yeah, as more pictures are coming out, I was like, this stuff that he's got's kind of cool too. But no. Stop trying to like it, Ben. You don't. It's Hero Factory. And then the set came out, and I was like, look, I'll grab it. Why not? And so I bought the set, and I built the set. And there was this awkward phase of like finishing it and just being like looking behind me and making sure the microphone's off and just being like, oi, this set's actually really cool. I hope no one heard that. And this set actually kind of being this realization of like, hey, dude, guess what? Hero Factory isn't bad. Yes, it killed Bionicle, and oh no, but get over yourself. And this set almost taught me a lesson of don't hold on to the past. Let go of your anger and your hate, and embrace the here and now. And letting go of my attachments, as they would say in Star Wars, of Bionicle, and being like, this new thing's actually not that bad, and you don't need to jump on the bandwagon that other people are jumping on of Hero Factory sucks. And this set was kind of this realization of like, hey, it's actually awesome. It's kind of like in the Clone Wars where a lot of people are like, Ahsoka's super annoying and she sucks. And then she saves some Padawans on Trandosha, and she comes back and she's like, thanks for teaching me, Anakin. It was awesome. Your training helped me survive and I helped save others. And then Yoda and Anakin are like, this is Ahsoka. She's pretty cool. And then us as an audience were like, I'm starting to like Ahsoka. And then as the rest of the seasons progress, you're like, Ahsoka's awesome. And then she leaves the Jedi Temple, and you're like, no, don't go. Please stay. And Dave Filoni's like, oh, I thought you didn't like Ahsoka. I'm like, no, I've changed my mind. She's so cool. She's my favorite character now. That was what Black Phantom was. Black Phantom was the set that changed my mind about Hero Factory, I think, where I kind of suddenly surrendered and went, no, let go of this anger. This set is actually really good. I don't think the box art does him justice. He's awesome. And Hero Factory is awesome. And kind of looking back and being like, wow, this theme's pretty rad, And so what was awesome about Black Phantom? Well, he had a really, really cool mask, and he had some great colors. Dark red and black, they looked brilliant together. And again, I said it earlier on when the leaks were coming out, I actually really like his gun spider arm thing. It's really unique and was really fun to play with. His staff is super cool as well. Really like that kind of black and green blade hilt thing at the end of of his sort of staff thing there. It's just awesome. So I'll say it, Black Phantom was a great set. And now it's funny. I love doing this video because it's this interesting retrospective of how I viewed Hero Factory at the time and how I view it now. And it's like, I actually have such fond memories of Hero Factory, but it's funny, like in the moment there was a lot of like, but it was such a good theme and such awesome pieces and characters and designs. So it's super cool. And it's that, I have people who ask me that. They're all like, do you like Hero Factory, Ben? I'm like, of course I like Hero Factory. I do a channel like literally about that. Of course I do. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, my channel's all about Bionicles, not really Hero Factory, but I see them as one and the same almost. I get that they're vastly different, but I don't know. My channel's about Construction as a whole, even though it's all about Bionicle. But a lot of the mocks that I cover in BIS are not strictly speaking always Bionicle, and I sometimes cover Hero Factory mocks too. So meh. But no, I love Hero Factory like a lot. It's a very, very close second behind Bionicle. You know, I think Bionicle wins over just a little bit more because of nostalgia and stuff. But man, Hero Factory is great. And like I was saying, this set sold it to me. It put it in a box and it said, here you go, enjoy. And I said, thanks, I will. But let's go into number 2, and then we'll go into some honorable mentions. So number 2, my second favorite Hero Factory set of all time, is Rotor. Rotor. I'm gonna say it now. Hate the mask that he has. I dug it out in a box the other day and I was like, ugh, we meet again, Rotor mask. I kind of looked at it and I was like, actually, you know what? It's not as bad as I used to think it was. Just kind of ironically the message of this episode. What a surprising message I wasn't expecting today. It's a little better than I remembered it being, but I always remember that mask being very difficult to use in mocks at the time. But again, the aesthetic that I was talking about before of the first wave of Hero Factory, how it was very heavily this thing of, it's not Bionicle, you know. But looking back on it, and then you know it transitioning into CCBS, it still had that slight Bionicle aesthetic to it. And if you squinted your eyes, it kind of looked like a Bionicle, you know. I loved Rotor for that. These funky black, kind of like almost armor pieces. I don't even know what you call them, but he has them on his chest and he has them on both arms. Those are really cool pieces. And his gimmick of this helicopter rotor thing, how it kind of folds up and down, it could kind of be used as a weapon or a shield, or just he can fly with it, was awesome. And both of his arms kind of being guns, you know, one with the sphere launcher there, the Zamasphere launcher, and then the other being, you know, you're looking at the box art there, it's this jetpack piece, but it's supposed to kind of release like toxins and things. And I was like, ooh, that's actually really cool. And yeah, he was really well designed and integrated a lot of the newer pieces and recolors and things in really nice ways, honestly. He just had a really sturdy frame, a really sturdy, nice overall structure and design. I just liked him a lot, you know? He was cool. I'm finding that with a lot of these. I'm just like, they were just cool. Sometimes I don't even really have justification for why I like them. I'm just like, they were just cool, okay? Leave me alone. There's nothing wrong with that. If you just liked how a set looked, that's okay. And that's what I thought about Rotor. So let's move on to those honorable mentions. Not too many of them in this one. Like I said, pretty much all of the original wave of the first villains, they are definitely on here. But let's take a bit of a deeper dive into 4 honorable mentions. The first one is Rocco 3.0. So for very similar reasons that Evo was one of my favorite Hero Factory sets, I really liked Rocco. And why is that, you might ask? Because he had a freaking funny name. Rocco. I don't know, I just love that name. Like, still to this day, I'm like, there was a hero called Rocco? That's a great name. Not even, like, taking the mickey out of that. Like, it's a good name. But it's also a little bit like ham. And I like that. It's like Star Wars can be like that, too. Where it's like, Attack of the Clones! It's like, that's such a pop serial name. But it directly ties into what it's based off of, like, Flash Gordon serials and stuff. And I love it. So, I think Hero Factory there, it's a nice reminder of, like, Don't take this too seriously. This guy's name is Rocco, like, and that's great. But ignoring his name, that's not why he's on here. He was just awesome. This awesome gold-colored Hero Factory hero looked great. He had a cool, like, lion mask helmet, which was very, very cool. Again, he had this great claw arm design. And also it was great just to introduce this new character who was all gold. He's like the Gold Power Ranger. Super cool. Really enjoyed him. And he had an XL too, I believe the first XL. Which was great. So, yeah, really, really, really cool guy. I liked him a lot. Next one, Stormer XL. The XLs were cool. Ferno XL and some of the other guys there, really cool. But Stormer I liked a lot, and that was because he had some cool pieces in there. Let's not forget, Hero Factory introduced some great pieces. So let's cover those. He had this brilliant double-sided socket piece, which I checked Bricklink, that's in like 7 sets. Majority of them are those weird CCBS Chima sets that like didn't come out in like every place in the world. But that was a great piece. Hot diggity. I believe that it first came in this set too. So, that was cool. I believe he was the first set that came with the, like, extender friction joint. And I remember seeing that on the set when it was being leaked and coming out and everything. And being like, oh my god, I need that. That's so cool. He also had this funky new foot piece, which is cool. He also had, I believe he was also the very first set that came with the big old chest piece, which at the time I was like, that's neat. Let's see what I can do with that. And then getting it and being like, nothing? I can do nothing with this. But it was cool. And he had the coolest looking blade in blue, which I've put on my self-mock. It was such a cool piece. And then he also had these weird drone things that come out of his shoulders and stuff. He was great. And also Stormer was just a cool character. And it was nice that, because I believe this was the second XL set. So it was cool being like, ooh, everyone else can get XLs. Like, I hope Ferno does. I hope Serge does. And some of them did, and some of them didn't. But XLs were super cool. I really enjoyed them. And I think Stormer was probably one of my favorites of them. Really liked him. On to the next one. It is Thornrax. Now, this is another one that when leaks were coming out and it was being announced and stuff, everyone was like, Teal! He has Teal Bionicle pieces! Teal's coming back! It's not dead anymore! Ah! So for those of you who don't know, there was Mark Stafford, a LEGO designer, who had to build a LEGO set, and LEGO said, you can either make the set purple, teal, or red, and depending on what color you don't use, we will eliminate those colors from the LEGO color palette. If he picked red, he would have killed both teal and purple. If he picked teal, he would have killed purple, and vice versa and all that. Ended up picking purple, which ended up killing teal as a color. And everyone was upset about it. And everyone was like, Teal's coming back! And then we ended up buying Thornrax, and we were like, that's not teal, but it's a cool new color. It's like this azure color. Wow! And that actually been quite exciting, and being a really cool, beautiful new color and piece. And getting the set anyway and being like, this is actually a really cool bug guy. He's really awesome. He's got these Gorast wings. He just looks cool aesthetically and in general design and frame. And he's got these cool azure pieces. That's awesome. So I liked him for that. He was great. And finally, this is one I had to put in here. This is Serge. Now, obviously, my self-mock Cossy, his mask, is actually from here, the original Serge 1.0. But I remember this set coming back and it being like, cool, more ways to get my self-mock's mask. But there's something else about this. And the LEGO company, I know you're listening because I have a theory. So all you employees who've listened to my videos, let me explain my theory. I remember speaking about this to Cal Modifier and he was like, I don't know, man, I think you might be onto something. We'll see. So originally when Cossy came out, he had the cool yellow lightning thing on his sword. He had the Serge mask, all that jazz. Then this set comes out, and everyone's like, dude, LEGO knows about you. They gave you blue lightning pieces and another Serge mask. And I was like, yeah, that's a push, guys. Like, I doubt it. But, hey, that's cool. It's perfect for Cossy. I'm going to give him a blue lightning thing now. Why not? And so you could look at that from the thing of, like, LEGO clearly knows about you. Yeah, sure. But then this happened. LEGO goes and releases their animation video glorifying Hero Factory. Really, really fun video. I'd recommend watching it. But the voice actor for Serge is Australian. Let's take a listen.
My battle machine has more than enough firepower to handle these guys.
So I remember watching this at the time and being like, okay, what? But I'll admit, in hindsight, I'm like, look, it probably was just a coincidence. I'm probably pulling at strings here. But I don't know. The LEGO company, if you're watching, let me know in the comments. I'm kidding. Of course, at the time, like I was saying, there's a lot of speculation and all that sort of stuff in the community, and that was just a fun pipe dream, you know? So I have fun memories about this set coming out and other stuff with Serge as a character, just because it's like, of course, one, he was a big stimulus for my self-mock, but two, just the thing of like, is LEGO listening? Like, what? You know, which is cool. I liked that. Regardless, though, I thought this set was really good too, because it was a nice, cheap, small set with really cool colors of the lime and the blue. Looked great together. But it was just a really nice, cheap set with some good pieces in it. So that's it for honorable mentions. Let's dive on in to my number one favorite Hero Factory set of all time. And what set is that? You might ask. Or you might not ask. You might be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to know. To which case, thanks for watching. See you in the next episode. Bye for now. No, this set is Witch Doctor. Yeah, best Hero Factory set. 10 out of 10. Would buy again. Why, you might ask? Because at the time, in the Mock Pages fan community, the hot piece, if you did a Bricklink order and you got a bunch of them, you were a god, were ball joints. What a good piece. Ball joints were everyone's jam. They were great pieces. Because you could use them in a mock and it would be... like, even to this day, I'd highly recommend just buying a bunch of ball joints. If you have some, you can do a lot with them in a mock. And this set came with 39 of them in red. Weird color, yeah. Sometimes you'd see these black mocks with little bits of red poking out from ball joints and stuff. But there's a lot of them, and it was cool. It was really, really cool. So that alone was so exciting. This set has 39 ball joints in it, and everyone freaking out and going and buying some. So that was definitely a big highlight for this mock, was the kind of community hype about it. But also, it had a really cool mask, and it had two of them too, because one is his mask and one is on the little kind of weird weapon thing that he's got. But one of the things I liked about this is just how well designed this was. It was a really, really solid frame for a Titan set. So much so that both myself and Brendan actually made mocks using the rough kind of waist design that this guy had. Brendan made a blood dragon, and then I followed suit and made a banana dragon. And we took a fair bit of notes from just the way that the waist on this mock was designed, because it's really sturdy but also quite posable. It's just really good. And so I really like that, just the fun of Brendan making that, and then me being like, all right, I'm gonna try that too. And I remember like just spending like 3 days straight in like the holidays or whatever, making that, and it being really fun. So again, more memories that I associate with this set, which is cool. But yeah, also it's just looking cool. It's a really good looking set. Ignoring the cool journey and the fact that it had cool pieces in it and all that sort of stuff. It's just well designed. It looks cool. It's big too. And I think it was only like $40. That might have been Australian. It might have even been cheaper than that. Or I'm remembering the price wrong. But it was decently cheap too for what you got in it. It was a good set. It was a really good set. And that is my number one favorite Hero Factory mock of all time. So what are yours? What are your favorite Hero Factory mocks? Mocks! I did it again, not mocks. Sets! What are your favorite Hero Factory sets? My bad, jeez. I want to know. Leave it in the comments below, or just let me know anywhere, What are your favorites? I'll probably do a G2 Bionicle episode next. I enjoy these top 10s. I might do some more. Honestly, I find them fun. And if you have some that you're like, oh, Ben, I want to see this top 10. Yeah, why not? We'll do it. Yeah, why not? Oh, and of course, I'll have the 2019 top 10 favorite mocks of the year at the end of the year, because that's a fun tradition I want to start. I like that. But yeah, that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode and had a good time recalling your memories of your favorite Hero Factory sets. We always love Hero Factory here, even on this Bionicle-focused channel. But like I said, it's Construction-focused. I really should change it to the Construction Inspiration Series, which is a terrible-sounding name. I probably won't do that. But, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Happy building. I'll see you in the next episode.